Hey, we are live. Hello, Athon fans and authors that always tune in. We have VA Lewis with us today, also known as Malazed and Delta. So I think there's already a bunch of fans in the chats that are talking about it and waiting anxiously to hear from uh, the fantastic author we have and the new book, Lost Souls, which I'm very excited for. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a big fan. So, real quick, I'm going to go with some new releases. We have, first off, a box set of Duty on Our Planet, which, if you are a fan of military sci fi, this one was really fun, really popular. And let's give you a quick glimpse into what it's like. Aliens, war, and explosive military sci fi action. Jason McKay and Shannon Stark, two young Republic Space Fleet intelligence officers, are given the leadership of a new special ops unit. The mission: guard the spoiled daughter of an important senator on a tour of the colonies. Neither of them thought the mission would be anything more than babysitting until aliens invaded the colony. So we got that's the only box set for today, and so military sci-fi fans, check that one out. Here's another interesting one I'm looking forward to reading: Out of the Earth. So if you are familiar with Pacific Rim and basically Godzilla, kaiju monsters types, this is one to check out. Here's a quick glimpse. It's out of the earth. Something else has been living beneath the earth. Now it's their time to rule. The Yellowstone supervolcano has begun to erupt, sending North America into chaos and the rest of the world into a panic. People are dangerous and desperate, knowing this will plunge the continent and the world into perpetual winter. So give Out of the Earth a look. Then here's one I'm actually a fan of, and a lot of lit RPG people are a fan of. We have Blessed Time by Cale Clamon, who I interviewed before. I'm very much looking forward to book 3, Dakora's Legacy. So take a look at this one. New threat arises, and time itself may not be enough. Retirement or polite exile, whatever you want to call it, it had been kind to Micah Silver. He had saved his home from Basil's Cove at the cost of his reputation, leaving the country to avoid further complications and settling into the comfortable life of a guildmaster, running a small but elite adventurers guild. So if you know this one, this has some lit RPG and time jumping elements, and it was done very well. So give that one a look. But we have the number one book you should check out today, Lost Souls. Welcome, VA, to the stream. And let me not cover up your fancy cap. We have Lost Souls, the Tian Trilogy, Book 1.
Hello,
How's it going,
hello.
VA?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here, John.
Yeah, glad to have you. And I am very much looking forward to reading this book, and I love cultivation and lit RPG elements, and I feel like recently one or two authors have done a very good job blending the two. And by all accounts, you have done a fantastic job with this. Can you tell us a little bit about the world of Lost Soul?
Well, first of all, I'll be honest. I have not written TN in the last 3 months. So before this interview started, I was like studying, trying to revise everything about the world building, the story. But just like any other time I crammed information, like I was in university, I completely forgot everything right now. So I think like I can tell you the bare basics. It's a woman who's from a cultivation world being transmigrated to a fantasy world with some lit RPG mechanics. And that fantasy world is being invaded by a sci-fi emperor, so to speak, who is there to like conquer it.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
it's a convergence of
yeah. It's a
sort of
bunch
those
of
three major elements,
yeah. It's
and how they fight. I see three colors of energy on the book covers. Is that coincidental, or is that
no, it's not. It is it's part of her cultivation techniques. I can't remember what colors represent exactly, but there's like illusion powers. There was enchantment powers. There's like a bunch of different powers.
mhm.
It was like one color for every single color of the rainbow. One power for every single color of the rainbow.
Yeah. Are we gonna see any, like, synergy elements, like her cultivation modified by the fantasy lit RPG powers, and then it just synergizes or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
There is
Okay.
gonna
I
be a bit of
love
that.
those. I love being in a book and saying, "Oh, that's smart," because, I think when your character is smart, you make the reader feel smart while they're reading. Um, so very interesting. For those of y'all in the comment, please go ahead and submit some questions. We're gonna keep talking to VA for a little while and then come back to you. So tell us, this is not your first project nor your last, I think.
Yeah.
You have other projects going on. Can you tell us about a couple of those other projects and what kind of set some foundations for writing Lost Soul?
So the reason why I haven't written TN in like 3 months is because I have like 6 different book series which I'm working on right now.
I
But
don't
like
know how to do
when I
it.
was because I'm a serial author,
Of
I write
course.
web serials. Uh and I had been in the past trying to like maintain doing all 6 of them at the same time. But like you sometimes like the quality drops like from doing so many of
Mhm.
them at once because I'm too busy thinking about only like maybe salvos, which is my most popular story. I can't think about Tian. So what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on like 2 at the same time. And I just doing like salvos, which I am supposed to be writing like right now, but I have an interview, so it's fine. And
Awesome.
I'm also writing another story from an alternate account, which I will be transferring to like my main account soon enough.
Great, great. I've interviewed one or two other serial authors in the sense that they're working on several at a time,
Yeah,
and I love it because it feels like it would be like an outlet for an author. Like if you have a really dark, serious series, and then you hop over and do something almost silly and lighthearted to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. And it does the same thing for a reader. I think of like these comedy series, like Morster Chef by Actus and stuff like
yeah.
that. It's like I can chew on something really heavy and dark, like Ranted the Ghost Town, and then I go to Morster Chef, and it's like, I can breathe again while reading. Do you have any series like that you're doing that's just
Well,
very very different flavor?
I mean, like my first ever stories considered grimdark by
Uh-huh.
most of my Royal Road readers. I don't personally consider it grimdark. I think it's maybe a little bit dark. Like the main character gets enslaved in the first book, which is like it's not that bad. Um, and my next series, the one which I was talking about before, Salvos, it is quite lighthearted. It's pretty much just like a action adventure romp where the main character goes around and does whatever she wants.
Great, great. So how far are you into the Tian Trilogy? Has all 3 books done?
No, I'm not. I was like 20 chapters into book 2.
Oh,
I think I'm not exactly sure, but like as I said, I had too many stories going on at once, and I needed to put some of them in the back burner while I focus on what I could right now.
very good, very good. Well, so you have the Tian Trilogy, and, do you have any others that are being published soon?
Um, I don't have anything that's being published by Aethon soon, but I'm probably gonna be publishing another Salvos book in the next 2 to 3 months. So
Great, great.
that's self-published, and it's gonna remain in the serial format, so it's being published wide instead of being on Kindle Unlimited, which I
Nice.
am like sacrificing quite a little bit of money for, but I promised I'll do that, and I'm gonna keep to my word.
Alright. Sounds good. Well, your fans are definitely in the chat. Who's got some questions? Let's see, we've got some people on here for
I don't see any questions.
no questions. Come
Yeah,
on. Y'all been on there for an hour and not a single question. So explain explain all the cat jokes to me.
I don't know. My avatar is like a cat in a witch hat, and that's
Yeah,
how most
let me
people
see.
associate me.
It's their mental picture
It's just a
is you,
cat.
but
Yeah.
it's just a cat. That's great. What is Rhett?
What does
What does
my
your
face
face
look
look
like?
like?
I look like a cat. That's
Let me
true.
see. What a troll. Uh, so, how did you? Are you a just a talking cat, or were you a human that got transformed into a cat? That's the
I
question.
was actually a cat that was transformed into a human. Um, I was trying to cast some magic to you know, get myself a human servant, but now I'm just a cat. I'm just a human.
Hmm. Very good. Let's see. How many more books do you see the series going? I guess the Tian Trilogy. I'm assuming that's three
Yeah,
books.
maybe it's gonna be a trilogy. Who knows? Maybe it will be a single book. I'm kidding. It's gonna be a trilogy.
uh, well, let's see. What do you have you listened to Emily narrate before? What do you think of her work?
I actually have not, but when I was told that Emily was going to narrate Tian, I listened to a few of her previous works, and I thought like she was a very fitting voice for Tian. Like that's exactly how I imagine her. So
That's good. I think I've talked to a couple authors that their narrators were like they said they had a voice in their head, but when they heard the narrator, the voice just switched because it was so much better than even the voice in their head. So there's some really talented voice actors out there for sure.
yeah,
Let's see. Is this an OP main character story? Overpowered. Um, Lost Souls.
it
Um,
is. I would say it's like an OPMC who like has constraints. So she has limits. You know, she can't just rely on her powers because she can just rely on her powers to steamroll every problem that comes her way. Because each time she uses her powers, she like loses more of it because she's not in her cultivation world. So it's
mhm.
like a balanced MC, you know, who is occasionally OP.
Uh, I love a good OP story like that. I think the one I'm writing right now is like that as well. Where it's like when there's actually confrontation, he's OP, but then in his character life and his personal development and the annoyances that come his way, he's got to figure out the issues. But when it comes to actual combat encounters, it's just like gone easy.
Yeah.
I love those unique twists, and so I guess that's why I kind of brought it around and wanted to write in that element. Um, if bu- 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 what series you have? Uh, what are the other series you have written called? Do you think you could list them out?
Um, it is my first series ever was called Malice, which is, you know, my username, as you can
Mhm.
tell. But
Yeah.
my original username was Delta, and I changed it to Malice to like, you know, promote my first book because that was like a full-on passion project. You know, like I didn't think about tropes. I didn't think about marketability or anything like that before I started writing Malice. It was like a hobby, which I picked up during quarantine. You know, during a COVID
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
everyone was forced home, and I had a lot of free time because I was a college student who had to drive like 3 hours every single day to my university.
Golly.
Um, yeah, so like I used those 3 hours to try and be productive. Um, Salvos is my most popular one. I'm sure most of the people in the chat are from Salvos, and it's about a demon girl who is like who doesn't understand humans, and she's usually up to quite a few shenanigans. The next one is Tien, which is the book we're talking about. There's Trace, which is a lit RPG apocalypse novel, which I started. It was a young adult comedy, and
Mhm.
I don't know. It's incredibly controversial. A lot of people like it. A lot of people hate it. I don't know why. Um,
It's
and
hard to know.
my last book. I'm not telling what my last book is because it's written under a secret account right now.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I will reveal it eventually. But if you are a Royal Road reader, I'll give you a hint. It's currently on the top of Rising Stars. That
Ooh.
is all I'll say.
Okay. A secret book. being
Yeah.
written under a secret name, and it's currently in Rising Stars. Everyone in the chat, go wild and go find it. so,
Look, uh,
so let's see. Da-da-da. Why do you prefer writing female main characters? Main female main characters is kind of sometimes a really hard sell
yeah,
by
I know,
numbers.
but I
Um,
guess I just really like female main characters. I don't know. I was raised by a single mom, so like
mhm,
and I'm not going to accuse anyone of anything, but like a lot of the media which I consumed when I was younger always felt like a little unfair to like the female characters in the story. So
mhm,
what I sought out to do when I started writing is to write female main characters, not strong female main characters, cause my first MC is kind of weak, but like realistic female characters, which I believe aren't like just for the sake of representation or for the sake of like like girl power and all that.
yeah. Yeah, in my series right now, I have 2 point of views. One is from a female and one is from a male. The
Yeah.
female ends up being, it's like the male is like it's kinda lacking in the common sense, but has the intelligence, the high level intelligence, where she's more grounded and she's also more violent. So it's but the dichotomy between the 2, makes for an interesting situation, but it is very challenging to write from a female's perspective. So I have my wife, fortunately, to fall back on to read through it and say, "Well, this seems a little bit jarring or impractical," but it's quite the challenge. So I'm gonna have to read through a couple of your series when I'm trying to get inspiration for how to I guess find that internal voice. So so thanks for the help. So,
I mean, I didn't really like draw any inspiration from like anyone I knew in real life. I think my
mhm.
biggest source of inspiration in writing is it's a web serial which is like 10 million words long called The Wandering Inn. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you've
yeah.
heard of it, but
Oh yeah.
it has like 1,000 main characters, and like but the main two characters are female MCs, and they are like the source of inspiration for a lot of my characters.
Yeah. The Wandering Inn is a very slow start, but it really gets into it later. So,
I
but
think it's
it's
still
also a
slow
nice.
right now, but
It's so
it is
close.
like
I'd say you get invested the longer
yeah,
you read into it. But it's funny because it is one of those things. It's like you love it or hate it, but it gets great reviews anyway.
yeah, it's very very
So
controversial, but I
it,
love it.
it is a very different pace,
It
is
is
what I'll
what
say.
it is what got me into writing. Actually,
Mhm.
it was the first web serial I read.
It's funny because I almost wanna call it slice of life, but it's intense. It's too intense
Yeah,
to be slice
yeah.
of life. Slice of life is normally like, easygoing the whole time, but then you have these intense moments and are like, "Ugh."
I think
So
it's just so large. It's like a slice of everything, you know.
what's the inspiration for Tian? Was it just the idea of cultivation lit RPG combined that drove the series or something else?
Yeah, it was the idea behind that, but I also read Cradle, and I was like, um, I wanted to write like a Eastern setting, but I knew I couldn't like write it well enough, so I wanted to briefly touch into an Eastern setting and focus on what I could do well, which is like a Western setting.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. So just import it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, any advice you have? What do you feel you do really well as a writer that you know other aspiring writers could learn from you? It sounds like you've got the female perspective down. Is there any kind of key insights you have on for? I mean, we have a lot of male writers in this industry. We have a lot of
Yeah.
in the lit RPG, fantasy, sci-fi. It is definitely male dominated readers and aspiring writers. So someone like me actually would be a key person. How do you write a female perspective without being too mannish about it?
I don't think about that actually. Like I just don't like. I try to think of the character, like of their traits and what they would do in a situation. I don't really uh, self-insert into the character itself. I am very good at distancing myself from my own characters. Like
Yeah.
my philosophy and the philosophy of like my most popular character, Salvos, is like completely different. She does, literally whatever she wants, and I am a very principled person who I don't think I would like her if I was if I knew who she was in real life.
Writing characters you wouldn't like in real life. Very interesting. But I can see that too.
It's not that I wouldn't. It's not that I specifically saw out to write a character I wouldn't like in real life. It's just how it happened naturally.
Uh, well, very good. So distancing yourself from the character, and it's funny because that's a very acting thing is method acting, where you get into the character and you imagine what they would do, how they would behave physiologically, what a person like that would be like, and write from that perspective. Um, Here's a good one. How do you come up with your lit RPG systems?
Oh man. The answer is I asked my friends for help and they helped me create it. I I I as I said, I started web serials from The Wandering Inn, and its lit RPG system is very very soft. Like the
Mhm.
system has no stats at all, and so for me, what I do whenever I start a new book is I approach a friend and I ask them, "Can you help me brainstorm this?" So
Hmm.
my answer is I have friends who help me.
Reliable friends. I think that's actually a very big thing because you have some really big name authors that literally develop their magic systems and their worlds through Dungeons and Dragons by creating new, basically D&D systems. Who am I thinking? Brandon Sanderson is known for doing this. He'll come up
Yeah,
with an idea for a power and he'll work it out as people try to use it. He tries to work out the powers and how they're being used to their fullest. And so he can have multiple people with multiple types of powers and distribute them to his D&D players and develop them that way. So that I always thought that was fascinating. But there's quite a few authors out there now that literally develop their books, their stories, and their powers through Dungeons and Dragons, which I mean, it comes up from time to time. I have my big display behind me of my D&D minis, and I actually have to prepare for some D&D sessions tonight after this
yeah.
interview.
I'd
So,
s- I'd, I'd say Tian's system is like most similar to Dungeons and Dragons. Like
hmm.
I never personally played D&D, but I watched a lot of Critical Role. Have you heard of them?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
watched a lot of them like when, when I was 17, like 5 years ago. Um and I was running out of ideas for systems, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to overcomplicate it this time. So I drew a lot of inspiration from D&D for Tian's system.
nice, nice, nice. Uh, well, fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to reading through Lost Soul. And I hope everyone in the comments has already purchased their copy or will soon. And looking forward for the success that we'll see in this series and getting that trilogy. So thank you so much for your time today. I think you
Thank
got to
you
get
for
back to
having.
writing and hopefully a little more promoting. We'll see. And so everyone else, fans and authors, thank you for joining us, and we'll see y'all next week. And hopefully we'll see VA again in the future when he releases another Lost Soul. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, bye.